Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Jeremy Craves here with another episode of Impressions, Questions, and Answers. Today I'm going to talk about two games, Journey and Abzu, as well as the difference between an inspired game and a ripoff. I'm going to describe these games, but I will not spoil or show any footage of the endings for either game. Let's start with Journey, an indie game developed by that game company. You wake up in the middle of the desert. The world looks to be open, but this is a linear game. If you are walking in the wrong direction, you will be pushed back. No narrator or direction through text box. You see your apparent destination from the start, which is the top of a mountain. So just walk towards it. In the beginning minutes, you will learn to jump and learn to interact with the environment. The rest of this journey to the top of the mountain will lay out as so. You're presented with an obstacle, like here where you need to complete this bridge. Overcome the obstacle to advance to this spot. If the game was divided up in chapters, this would be the end of each. Once you stand in the circle of light, you will see a short cutscene telling a story through animation only. The story is mysterious with no text or voice acting telling you what's going on. Then just enjoy the sightseeing on your way to the next obstacle and repeat. Journey was Game of the Year to many people in 2012. It may have left you satisfied, it may have left you in tears, or even confused. This was a unique experience and still remains one after playing it through again for this video. It's still impressive graphically, a great soundtrack that progresses perfectly with the gameplay, and the gameplay itself is still different than most other games. There are no enemies to defeat. The obstacles never give too much resistance to your progress. It's just too easy to use this again, but it really is all about the journey to the top of the mountain. I felt differently about one thing playing through the second time. There's an odd multiplayer aspect to the game. You cannot invite anyone, but if you're online, another person playing may be paired up with you. The first time I played Journey, I didn't care that someone else was in my game. I wasn't really trying to work together or hang out. However, this time I came across a player and I wanted to stick together to see the end with him or her. It was strange for me to feel differently about that, so I figured it was worth mentioning. The person stopped playing, so I didn't see the end with them, but the game will advise you of the people you ran into at the end. So what are my impressions of Abzu? I think the comparisons of Abzu to Journey start with the team at Giant Squid. Two of the 13-person team at Giant Squid worked on Journey, Matt Nava and Austin Wintory, Mr. Wintory being the composer of all three games released by that game company, those games being Flow, Flower, and of course Journey. In Abzu, you wake up in an open body of water. You do not see the end destination like the mountain in Journey. Of course, in the beginning you learn to swim, where jump would be is boost, learn to interact with companions that will act as keys to some doorways, and also learn how to ride a fish. So the feel is not the same as you are swimming and need to hold down a button to do so. It felt less open than Journey does in the beginning. Most of the opening is going through tunnels to more walled sections. But once you do get to an open area, you will be turned around when going the wrong way. So how does it play? This formula seems similar to Journey. You are presented with an obstacle to overcome the obstacle to advance, and work your way to this area. Like Journey, I would consider this spot to be the end of a chapter or level if it was broken up that way. Again, no text or dialogue explaining what is going on. Enjoy the sightseeing to the next section and repeat. I would personally consider Abzu to be inspired by Journey, rather than a ripoff of it. A result of Journey that we wouldn't have without Journey. Nothing negative about that. It was never in Game of the Year talks as Journey was, and I would again say that Journey was a unique experience at the time. I won't waste time thinking, what if Abzu came first? Journey came first, and Abzu didn't reinvent the wheel for games like this. I was satisfied at the end of both of these games. Personally, I'm not the kind of gamer that considers unique indie experiences like this Game of the Year worthy. In 2016 I played Inside after hearing everyone consider it Game of the Year worthy, and I just didn't get it. I enjoy games like this, where you're dropped in and everything is open to interpretation, but I'm never blown away by them as some people make them sound. Just putting that out there before going on with my impressions. If you played Journey and it had a big emotional impact on you, I wouldn't go into Abzu thinking the bar has been raised. If you played Journey and are like me, occasionally enjoy a game with simple gameplay, relaxing soundtrack, and pretty animations, then you would enjoy Abzu when you find yourself in the mood for that experience. If you've not played either of these games, I would recommend starting with Journey, only because of the controls. I found myself having a hard time going in the right direction in Abzu at times. This is me looking like a fool while attempting to swim downwards. So I'll end with why I don't think it's a ripoff and how I think the term should be used. A ripoff, in my opinion, is when you give another developer grounds to sue you. This game looks a bit too much like Overwatch for my liking, and Blizzard agrees. They are suing the maker over violating an intellectual property. So if you do that, or steal assets, you are welcoming the description of being a ripoff. A game having a similar formula for progression, or a developer aiming to make their take on a genre they care about, should not be spoken of negatively, as if they are a ripoff. There's a certain type of fan that likes to believe the game they love and invest hours into is the first of its kind for some reason. Like PUBG is the first battle royale game. Like Overwatch was the first team shooter with a variety of characters with objectives to complete. There are lots of schools full of people aiming to entertain us. Let's not close the door on any of them because they can't all come up with original experiences. I love Dark Souls games, and I'm not going to write anyone off for putting their spin on the genre. Maybe you're the kind of person that can play the Souls games over and over again, or you're like me and want new experiences. I played The Surge and had a good time. I'll also be trying out Code Vein, Ashen, and Immortal Unchained. If you love Dark Souls games, or any kind of game, and only ever want to play that game, then fine, but don't root against inspired games with terms like ripoff. I think I'll end it here. I did intend for these games to lead me onto this topic, but I can really go off on the deep end, so I'll save it for future videos. Thank you for watching this episode of Impressions, Questions, and Answers. Feel free to like, dislike, and or subscribe. Let me know what you think of Journey, Abzu, or ripoffs. Reach me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube, all at Craves Snow. Thanks again for your time, and take care.